What if the gates you feared were never designed for you to enter? What if the doors you keep knocking on weren't built for your liberation, but for your limitation? What if your ancestors didn't wait to access, they built access? And what if the gatekeepers was never your destiny, it was your distraction? In this episode of the Generational Rhodium, we are breaking the illusion of permission. We are remembering the ancestral truth. Your vision is the key. Your gift is the access, and your sovereignty is the approval. By the end of this episode, you will understand how to stop waiting for validation that was never needed and reclaiming your blueprint of being a builder, a visionary, a leader in your community. Great awakening, magnificent people. I am Jazmian D. Thank you so much for joining the Generational Rhodium. It is the media and healing component of HWPLP. HWPLP stands for Health, Wealth, Prosperity, Love, Peace. We are a movement-driven investment firm committed to building generational wealth through healing, collective economics, real estate, and venture capital. Please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And also join our mailing list by visiting our website at hwplp.com. And you can learn more about our movement there as well. This episode aligns with our newsletter entitled Building Tables, Not Asking for Seats. Now let's get into this magnificence. Let's start with the truth. Permission culture is not natural. It is an inherited survival conditioning. And psychologists have studied this for decades. I'm going to go over 4 different studies which can confirm this. The first one is learned helplessness. This was a study done in 1967 by a Dr. Martin Seligman. And the foundational research found that when a group is punished for autonomy generation after generation, they learn that my choices don't matter. And this mirrors the brutality that was experienced during slavery and the consequences which have been passed down generation to generation. The second one is the external locus of control. This was a study done in 1966 by a Dr. Julian Roeder. And they discovered that communities that were under domination for long periods of time, they start to believe that I must be chosen, that I must be approved, or I must be allowed. And this created an internalized hierarchy of dependency on a gatekeeper. The third one is the approval reflex. This was a study done by Harvard in 2014. It was a social psychological study. And it revealed that repeated dependence on authority figure conditioned the body to seek acceptance, validation, permission. And this reinforced the cycles of waiting to be chosen. The fourth and the last study is the chosen few effect. This was a study done by the American Psychological Association in 2018. And this report found that only a few members of marginalized communities are allowed to succeed. And this leads the subconscious to believe that success must be granted, not created. And the psychological echo of this caste-based control structure leads to the mindset that many people have who are marginalized. These patterns did not originate with us. They are the echoes of survival in a system designed to penalize freedom. But here is the revelation. We are no longer in bondage. But many of us are mentally. And this is our time today to claim our freedom, to reclaim the freedom which is ours, and step into the truth of who we are. Because our ancestors didn't wait for permission. They created ecosystems. I'll break down some of these ecosystems. I have 4 specific ecosystems that were blueprints for a sovereignty. And it helped them to build wealth in communities and powers without looking to institutions for approval. The first route that they went was land ownership or sovereignty. And this is where you have the mentality of who controls the land controls the future. This was an example seen in Black Wall Street in Tulsa. And it was where the community collectively came together. They purchased land. And then it was families and entrepreneurs and professionals, and they all invested in this land, in this ecosystem, and in this commerce. where they had their own banking system, their own educational system, and they had their own security within the community. And this was a system where they didn't have to ask. They just built it themselves. The second one is a community circulation system. And this is the mentality of our people practice financial recycling long before it was even a thing, something that existed. And this goes back very far to the Moors, when they operated in a sovereign trade network, where they had educational institutions, financial systems, and they were all centered on knowledge, commerce, and self-governance. They circulated wealth through skills, culture, and collaboration, and they didn't do it through permission. Next was cooperative economics. This is when you have shared land, wealth, risk, and rewards. And us indigenous people, we operate in this form where you have communal wealth and systems, and it's based on balance, reciprocity, and collective decision making. And this is a blueprint of no one stands alone. We're all together. The fourth one is strategic navigation and restrictive systems. Now, our ancestors mastered that art by advancing with restrictions without being defined by them. Now, this was being seen very well through Black-owned bus systems that were created, the Underground Railroad, which was a system that went for years, well after slavery, the freedom schools for education, for higher education, for learning, because we weren't supposed to learn, and then cooperative farms. So this is farming collectively to meet the demands of people, the people that need to eat. And all this was built without approval from institutions and while being in a very oppressed system. These legacies remind us that we come from builders. We come from sovereign creators. We come from people who turned restrictions into innovation. This is our blueprint that we carry. It's in our blood. It's who we are. Let's take a moment and do a mindful breath exercise. Just a moment. A 4-box exercise. Here we're going to do a 4-4-4. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. And while doing this, I'm going to do some affirmations. So let's close our eyes or soften our gaze. Excuse me. Inhale, I reclaim my sovereignty. Hold, my lineage walks with me. Exhale, I release the need for permission. Hold, I activate my blueprint. Last time, I reclaim my sovereignty. Hold, my lineage walks with me. Exhale, I release the need for permission. Hold, I activate my blueprint right now. Keeping your eyes closed, see yourself standing on sacred ancestral land. Behind you, you see a Black Wall Street pop up, or similar to your left. To your right, you see something similar to a rosewood take form. Communities of sovereignty, people who look just like you. Around you, you see Moorish builders. They're drafting blueprints for us all to use. And our indigenous communities standing with us in unity. Feel their hands on your shoulder. Feel their hands supporting you. Hear them whisper, "You are the continuation of our legacy." Thank you. Now I want to tell you a story. A story that might be familiar to some, but maybe not to others. It is a story of sovereignty in action. In 1969, Fannie Lou Hammond, who's a civil rights activist as well as a singer, she founded the Freedom Farm Cooperative. This was 640 acres of Black-owned, Black-operated, and Black-funded land. It was a system built for liberation. Families grew their own food. They created their own housing. They generated their own income, and they trained their own leaders. They fed their own children, and they protected their own. There were no banks to approve it, no institutions to authorize it. There were no gatekeepers to permit it. It was built by vision, by unity, by sovereignty. Freedom Farm Cooperative was more than agriculture. It was an economic rebellion wrapped in self-determination. And today, with the technology, the capital access, the digital organization, and the global connection that we have, we can rebuild, we can build on that will and not start from scratch, because our ancestors laid the groundwork. We just need to build on it. And HWPLP continues that lineage with land-based sovereignty, collective economics, self-determination, wealth. It is a blueprint that has always worked. Now I want to give you 4 practices that you can use to help you rebuild your sovereignty and step away from scarcity. The first one is the unpermission yes practice. This is where every morning you wake up and you ask yourself, what can I create today without approval? Think it through. And what comes to you is something you should embody. Embody it. Live that day as if it is already yours. Live that day as if you have given yourself approval and no one can tell you otherwise. Try it for a few days and see how magnificent you start to feel, how powerful you start to feel. Number 2 is collective creation model. Now, with the collective creation model, it's like small groups of people that have shared skills, shared intentions, shared creation. Come together, 3 to 5 people, not large, start small. And then you can think of things that you guys can develop, can grow. That could be a business, a farm, a school, community center. So many things can be done collectively, because collective power is what strengthens us. Number 3 is a sovereign skill stack. And this is where you list out 5 skills that you already possess, that people have told you your whole life, you do this so well, that people have always said to you, man, you're really great at this. It's like you don't even try. Those skills that you think are so simple and don't understand why people can't do it as easily as you are, that is not a skill. That is a gift that you were given. Write them down and then embody them. I did a lot of training, and a lot of those trainings, they do tell you to focus on your weaknesses and make them your strengths. But why do you have to strengthen something that's already strong? Focus on your strengths and become stronger in them, because they are gifts that were given to you for a reason. Use them, period. That's it. Nothing else. No more discussion. Number 4, the lineage activation ritual. And this is when you stand in front of the mirror and you affirm, I honor what they have built without permission, and I continue their work through sovereignty. Because your ancestors were not waiting to be chosen. They chose themselves, and you have to choose you too. You are not here to ask for a seat. You are here to build the table. You are not here to wait for approval. You are here to walk in sovereignty. You are the blueprint, the architect, the legacy that your ancestors dreamed of. Now let's close with the HWPLP affirmation. Heal your mind, body, and soul. Build the wealth that is your birthright. Live in full prosperity. Love unconditionally. And live in a state of peace. And so it is, and so I am, and so it be. I want to thank you so much for joining me for the Generational Rhodium. I am Jazmian D with HWPLP, and I want to just say I really look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, peace, love, and light. Thank you.